Support Laneside. Get something cool. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to The Drill Room, episode 18. As always, I am the Bearded Beast, Rob Johnson. And first and foremost, I want to thank you for rejoining us after lengthy illness. I'm sorry I've been away for a couple of weeks. I know people will say, you don't have to apologize and so on and so forth. But I always like to apologize when I'm away. Unfortunately, super sick, but now feeling much better. I was dead once. Feeling much better now. So once again, thank you for joining us here on The Drill Room. This is the show driven by you, the bowler. Really about whatever you want. This is where we get together and we talk about the news from the week, new equipment coming out, new things going on in the industry, just about anything that you want to. So, we've got a little bit of a show planned, but really it's going to be a lot of going over questions and stuff for the last couple of weeks and talking to you, the viewer. So, before we jump into it, I want to remind you that if you want to get in contact with us, you can find us on any one of the social media platforms if you look up Laneside Reviews or hashtag TEAMLSR. You can also find me, the Bearded Beast, looking up the Bearded Beast Rob Johnson. We're on TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, Reddit. Don't forget to follow us on Reddit, where we put a copy of all of our episodes and we take a lot of our questions. You can go to lanesidereviews.com and that'll take you right to our Facebook. Or you can email us at lanesidereviews@live.com and ask us any other questions, or if you want a copy of something, we can send it directly to you. And now, on with the show! So, I'll give you kind of an overview of the things we're going to be talking about. I'm going to find my pen. Somehow I lost my pen. I don't know what. There it is. We've got a few things we're going to cover. We're going to start off with the PBA Playoffs. We are through the first round, so we're going to review how some of the matches went over. We're going to talk a little bit about who we're happy to see go through, some of our picks for the next round. Also, the best trolling ever by one of the players. Just a masterful trolling. We're going to talk more about the fallout from the storm balls, the 6 storm balls that were banned for USBC Open Championships and certain other events. This is the story that just will not die, so we're going to talk more about it. Hello, Mobile! Hey, Vincent. Yeah, we're doing it tonight. Unfortunately, I have some classes on Tuesday and Thursday this week. I know. Weird, me going to school. But I am upgrading my coaching, continuing on with my learning so I can be the best coach that I can be for my national team and for you players out there. So this week we're going to go on Monday and maybe even Friday. We'll find out soon. But yeah, we're going to talk more about the fallout from the storm balls. We're going to talk a little bit about the Open Championships. Some pretty big scores coming out of it lately. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And we're going to talk about Brian Voss and his idea to fix bowling. This is going to be a fun one. And, of course, we're going to have some Pro Shop horror stories. We got 2 of them this week. And we're going to go to your questions from other videos as well as what you've got in the chat. So, let's get going. So let me see here. Oh, and a surprise at the end. A big old surprise at the end. So let's see here. Boop. Okay, so we're going to go over to the PBA website, and you can see good old Tommy Jones there. Now, over the last couple of weeks, we've had the PBA Playoffs going on. Basically, a couple of rounds per day to get through the first few players, so we can separate the wheat from the chaff, and so on and so forth, and really kind of pare it down to the big matchups. So the first one we saw Bill O'Neill go over Belmo in a roll-off, a very surprising roll-off. Billy couldn't miss game 1. Belmo couldn't miss game 2. And then just some really weird hits for Belmo late. Cost him. And a really bad shot. But that sent him home. We had Kyle Troop going over Sean Rash with a pair of 266s. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. That's all I'm going to say about that. We had Dom Barrett after his win at the major. He went over Packy Hanrahan in another roll-off. And roll-offs really seem to be a big part of this playoff. Barrett went over 59-38. Excuse me. Then we had a couple of blowout matches where we had Chris Prather over Brad Miller. Not that Brad didn't bowl well, he never seemed to get locked in, and any time that Shark Kent can circle the lane, he's going to be hard to beat. Then we had probably one of the more surprising ones. We had the Candyman, Sean Maldonado, taking out the odds-on favorite for Player of the Year this year, Anthony Simonson. And he shut him out 2-0. Anthony had never really seemed to get into any kind of good area here, and he got rolled, for lack of a better term. Then we had AJ Johnson over Butters, 2-0 as well. Once again, don't know what's going on with Butters. He is just such an incredible bowler, and he doesn't seem to be catching any breaks and really performing when he gets to the TV round. Maybe we're going to have somebody come on here and talk about psychological performance in bowling. That'd be kind of interesting. And then, in the last show, we had Jesper over EJ in another roll-off. This one's interesting, 38-24. Jesper with the Troll of the Year, playing just about every banned USBC ball in his arsenal. When they went on TV and they went through it, it's like, yep, that one's gone, that one's gone, that one's gone, that one's gone. Pretty funny. And then Tommy Jones going over Kyle Sherman 2-0. So unfortunately, Brad and Kyle eliminated, so we're not going to see any more shows on that. But we'll still see some behind-the-scenes things. I know they've got a lot of things planned. The interesting one with Maldonado, Sean hurt his back during, I believe it was the first game, and was really just able to kind of, he didn't have to out-bowl Anthony, but he still had to perform. Very much hoping he's okay. I know that he and Tom Doherty, they're good friends, and Tom went through some really bad problems with his back, so hopefully Tom's got some insight for him to help him get over it. I know myself, I contacted Tom and told him about my success I've had with yoga, trying to get my back kind of fixed. It's done really well for me, so maybe that could be something that works well for him. But very, very interesting. We see, some of the big names out. No Belmo. No Simonson. No EJ. So this is going to be potentially a big finish for somebody. You look at the people who are in there. Major title winners. Troop, Barrett, O'Neill, Prather, Jesper, Jones. A lot of guys with experience. Guys who are going to be Hall of Famers. And a couple of interesting ones. AJ Johnson has not had a lot of luck lately. The guy throws pins like 3-4 times back across messengers, but he just hasn't seemed to have a lot of luck. I am actually very interested to see some of these matchups. Like O'Neill versus Troop. You've got, once again, the two-hander versus the two-handed Slayer. The real deal, Bill O'Neill, he bowls a lot against two-handers. He knows that transition pretty well. Could be an interesting matchup. Barrett versus Prather. I like that matchup. Two guys who can really create some shape on the lane. Guys who are very good at manipulating ball reactions. Maldonado versus Johnson. Like I said, if Maldonado's back gets better, could be very interesting. And then Jesper versus Tommy Jones. If Urethane's in play, Jesper's always a threat. So, in my opinion, I don't know what everybody else thinks. In my opinion, I'm thinking probably... Boy, I hate to do this. You know what? I take O'Neill as the underdog against Troop, because he's due. That Barrett-Prather match is going to be really tough. Dom's been hot lately. Chris Prather, that one's pretty even. I'm gonna call that one even. I don't know how to call that one. If you guys have an idea what you think, please let me know. Let me see here. Maldonado and Johnson. I hate to go against Maldonado, but it depends on how quickly the show's shot. If it was shot back to back and we don't know yet, and he's got a bad back, I would probably take Johnson in this. Maybe I'm being a little bit biased because he's a Johnson. Don beat Prather once this year. He did. So that's what I'm saying. Like, he really could. Like, Dom's hot right now, but Chris Prather's Chris Prather. It's really tough. Jesper versus Jones. I'm actually, and this might be a dark pick, but I'm going to take Jones over Jesper. Just because Jesper hasn't had a good year this year. I don't think he's matched up with the UC3. I know he's had he's been playing still the pitch blacks and stuff like that, but I just don't see him overcoming Tommy, who's had a very good year this year as well. So, I mean, we could see O'Neill, Johnson, Jones, and the winner of the Prather-Barrett match. Super Blitz seems to think it'll be Dawn. Let's go with Dawn. We'll take him as our pick. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. I got to be honest with you. I would love to see... I don't know when Jesper's contract is up, but I know Scoops and I talked about this. Love to see Jesper jump ship to Brands of Brunswick. Not because he's not doing well with Storm. I just think for a guy whose whole career is built on urethane, having access to the purple, the pink, the double cross, like all those different urethanes, it could be really interesting for him. Having a true urethane asymmetrical rather than the UC3, which is kind of a hybrid urethane. It's not true urethane. It would give him a different look again, and it might be something that he needs right now. UC3 lane shines a lot quicker compared to other urethane. Yeah, actually, I've noticed that the Pink Widow played it. I wouldn't say I've played it a lot, but I've put 10, 15 games on it, and it has not started to shine up yet. So I've been pretty impressed with that. Knowing that urethane doesn't really shine too much, you'll still see a little bit of buildup. And the pink has been... I'm looking at it over there. The pink has been actually pretty good. I don't know. Does anybody disagree with my picks here? O'Neill, Barrett, AJ Johnson, and Jones going through the next round. Anybody have a different pick than that? I'll let you guys think about that for a second. While you're thinking about that, let's talk about the continued fallout from Storm bowling balls. So you can see right here. So when they made the agreement to take those balls out of play. Apparently, the USBC believes that part of the agreement was for them to discontinue sales of the affected products. I.e., even though technically they're legal, let's keep them from getting out there and being a problem. Let's stop selling them and everybody will be happy. Well, USBC ain't happy because apparently Storm didn't. You can see the email here from Classic Products. It went out from 11thframe.com. Special thanks to Jeff Riggles. Highly recommend you subscribe to his channel or to his page. It's not very expensive, and you get a lot of really cool news, and you get stuff that not everybody talks about. And he gets a lot of this stuff early. And you can see there, as part of the agreement, Storm Products will discontinue sales of all affected balls. USBC has concluded its investigation and will not be taking action on additional balls related to this product. So basically, they were saying, all right, we've made an agreement. You're going to stop selling these balls. People can't use these balls in certain competitions, and everything will be fine. We'll just leave the rest for everybody else. Well, a lot of people thought to themselves, well, why don't I just buy these balls, try them out, and if I don't like them, I can trade them in. That's really bad. That's bad business for Storm. So I could understand why getting it, like taking them off the shelves, would have been in their best interest as well with the trade-in program, and yet they didn't offer it that way. They still left them out there. And, yeah, well, the USBC has told them, stop. I know locally, Boofa Distribution here in Canada, which is like the only distributor, why am I saying it funny? I don't know. When it came down, they made a decision as a company before they found out about this to stop selling them. Which was a bit of a pain in the butt because I had one on order. But for obvious reasons, if it's banned, it's banned. They gotta do their thing. But this is just the story that keeps on giving. First, the poor people at the Masters had to give up their equipment. Why? Why can't we all just get along? Why can't we all just bowl? I am even more interested to see the complete data from USBC. Excuse me, I know it's been put out there where they had, this one was, 98.6% fail. This one is 91% fail. This one did not get checked. I'd like to see the actual numbers, the actual sample size. As a more analytical person, I would want to see exactly how much testing they did before they did this, because this is a huge thing for Storm. I'm not a Storm guy. I've said this before. I'm a Brunswick guy through and through, but this is about the industry. And this kind of shenanigans, weirdness going on, we don't need it. If you approve the balls, you approve them, let them go. You know what? Put the 2-year rule in, like the PBA did. Put it on all equipment for these tournaments, so that way they always have to throw the newest stuff. Solves all the problems. We've talked about this before. But not the way that things are going right now. Seriously. USBC threatening distributors having to take care of customers getting caught in between with misinformation and all this stuff. It's just... it's actually irritating. It makes me not want to deal with bowling, because bowling is just supposed to be fun. We go out and we knock down pins. It's all this other garbage that makes it not so much fun. The newest bowling ball is coming out from Stormline. The Zen Soul has a drop average of 40. Well, yeah, that's what we're going to see from a lot of the manufacturers. It's going to directly correlate to what we see in equipment coming out now. Manufacturers are going to have to be extremely wary of what they put out for the durometer ratings, because they're gonna be afraid of having a ball banned or recalled or what have you. And while we know a change from 72 to 73 isn't a huge deal, when we start getting 4, 5, 6 points, we're gonna start changing what we see, how the ball sees the lane. It has its goods and its bads. A harder ball is not going to, potentially, what we've seen so far, is not going to have the same kind of footprint that a 72 or 73 durometer hardness ball is going to have. So we're not going to see as much early hook. We're not going to see as wide a footprint interacting with the lane, creating friction. But just because hardness is going to change doesn't mean somebody's not going to come out with something else that does the same thing. Maybe they're going to change the polymers again. I mean, you see Brunswick using that gold sparkle, and that seems to make everything hook. So maybe there's another additive to come that will allow the hardness to be up, but increase friction as well. Who knows? So yeah, the Storm debacle rages on. All I can say is, Purple Hammer is still legal. No, if nobody had said anything about the Purple Hammer, none of this would have happened. No. You know what? It's good. I still believe that it's good that USBC is enforcing the rules. They came up with a new rule and they're enforcing it. As always, time and execution is what the problem is, not the rule itself. Look at the PBA once a year, and then everybody knows what's going on for that year, and they can reevaluate at the end of the year and make rule changes. It's the way it should be. Moving on, we're going to move on to the Open Championships, where we saw not one but 2 monstrous scores in the last 2 weeks. The 8th of April, the Metro Produce of Baldwinsville, with my friend Anthony Pepe, threw up a ridiculous score of 10,444 for the all events for teams at the Open Championships. Now, people have said that the shot might be a little soft this year. We are hearing that there's a lot more people being able to add a little bit more shine to open up the lanes a little bit more, and it's created a lot more scoring. So if you go back to our show that we did on the Open Championships, you'll see that we had our some of our stuff for later, our late hook, our burn ball, things like that had higher finishes and polishes on it. We've heard from a few people that they're using actually a tiny bit of polish on their low-end stuff as well, just to kick it through the fronts and then allow it to have some traction. So interesting stuff. But then the Delora brothers, they said, hold my beer. Averaging 235 as a team. Over 45 games, they shot 10,585. The old record lasted for, I think they said 27 years, and it's been dropped twice this year. What that tells me is there is a lot of scoring potential out there. Tons of it. It means that the pattern is being very easily blended out, and people are really able to get into a spot to score, to open the lanes up and really score. I've had a chance to watch a few videos, and you can see that there's plenty of angle down lane that you can create. Which, I mean, every year there's lots of angle, but this year it just seems to be, maybe it's not as long, because when you're seeing these big ball reactions, it's not 210ing or 710ing, which I've seen a lot in the past. It's actually getting through the pins. So it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. We're seeing these scores, tons of 300s. Holy moly. I think we've had 9 already, and we're through like the first month and a half. We're going to see a lot of records fall this year. And I don't think I'm upset with that. I know a lot of people expect the pattern to be very low scoring and very challenging, which it still is very challenging. But seeing some big scores does excite people to come out and have a good time. Seeing some decent scores going on makes people hopeful. And after a couple of years of really being down in the industry, it's nice, you know. Some excitement is good for the Open Championships. It's good for the vendors. It's good for the pro shops. It's good for everybody. It's great for entries. Next. I've been waiting for this one. So Brian Voss. Oh, Brian Voss. Once again, from 11thframe.com, Jeff Riggles. Don't forget to subscribe to his channel to get all of the stories to his page. Brian Voss has a plan to fix bowling. It's a TLDR kind of plan that talks and double talks over itself a lot. But it boils down to pretty much the following points. First and foremost, I think this one's a no-brainer for Brian Voss fans. One hand, thumb inserted in the ball. No two-handers. Next, rotating patterns, rotating house patterns, so that every week the patterns change, so that people have to learn to manipulate the ball, their ball roll, and so on and so forth. Plastic balls, visiballs basically, with pancake weight blocks in them. No more than 1/8 ounce dynamic weights, so finger, thumb, top side, yeah. And restricted to 3 balls at tournaments. So, let's start at the beginning. The whole article is actually very well written. Brian is actually pretty well spoken when he's not angry. I've heard some tirades, but for the most part, he's a pretty smart guy. And what he wants is a return to skill-based bowling, where it's about hitting about hitting a spot down the lane 1/4 of an inch, about the ball's not impacting it. It's about what the player does. And that's something we've heard before. We had the PBA skills competition balls that we still see for some of the college and high school competitions. I think they're at 3.02 right now with their urethane ball with the pancake weight block. I have a lot of problems with anything that excludes. Bowling, like any sport, like really anything, has to evolve. The things that we do have to evolve. You can't stay doing the same things over and over again, otherwise you will die. Change or die, evolve or die. Excluding two-handed bowlers, you think about how many people have gotten into the game. He argues that two hands allow unskilled players to dominate skilled players. It's not all about ball speed and rev rate. We've seen that. Yes, two-handers have done very well, but it's not because they're just stronger. It's not just because they throw more revs. Look at Jason Belmonte. He is an incredible spare shooter. Kyle Troop does not throw it like Jason Belmonte. He throws it up the boards like a traditional player. Sean Maldonado plays it pretty straight too. You get a guy like Chris Vi who can play it straight or can swing the lane. These guys are doing the same skills. Anthony Simonson, he can play it forwards, he can play it back up. He can loft it halfway down the lane. They have developed new skills. Those skills are allowing them to be better than some one-handed players. You can't tell me that you could walk up to EJ Tackett and tell everybody, hello! A two-handed player would walk up to EJ and say, I'm better than you. EJ Tackett's going to be like, okay, yeah, sure. I throw it harder than you, I have more rev rate than you, and I've got more titles than you. We're seeing a renaissance in bowling. We've seen it happen in baseball. We're getting different training methods. We're getting stronger bowlers. We're getting smarter bowlers. We're getting bowlers who are getting the benefit of real scientific information now. And they are being developed in a way that takes advantage of their individual uniqueness. Something I talk about all the time. It's one of my favorite subjects. Every bowler is unique. What they do is very different. And we say that if you can work in the best qualities of the best players in the world, the things that they do commonly, if you can work those into your uniqueness, you can learn to throw the ball better. Not by changing your uniqueness, but by finding ways to better maximize it. So we talk about things about where your explosion point is, where your timing is, swing path. You can throw the ball, you can throw it like Brandon Novak and have the whole chicken wing thing going. But if you watch his arm swing, he gets to a certain swing spot every time, relaxes his arm and lets it swing through. Because those are the commonalities that allow champions to win. Brian Voss says that the two-handers don't have skills. He says that all they do is just throw it right and strike. I would say that the preparation that I've seen guys like Jason Belmonte and Jesper and Chris Vi and guys like that, they do the same preparation anyone else does. Yes, they don't have the problem with exiting, with thumb exiting. Mike Miller threw it without a thumb one-handed. Why are you picking on him? You know, there's lots of... Tom Doherty throws it one-handed, no thumb. Why is what he's doing wrong? It's... Everyone is scared of change. Doesn't matter who you are. When you're in a certain groove, when you feel in a safe spot, when things change, you will naturally resist it. It's been 12 years now, guys. It's time to give it up. Two-handed bowling is not going away. Doesn't matter if you like it or you don't like it. People still don't like Tiger Woods. He changed the way that golf was played. People don't like John Daly. He changed the way golf was played. You know, every generation has some kind of revolution. In golf, they banned some clubs because the technology gave an unfair advantage. You don't see them banning players. You don't see them banning players because they have a funky or different swing in golf. You don't see them banning Curtis Joseph or Felix Potvin playing hockey because they had a butterfly style, because it was a much different style. You didn't see Mark McGuire, okay? Mark McGuire had that weird elbow up thing. You didn't see them saying, you can't do that just because you're hitting home runs all the time. No. Of course, there was some other stuff going on there, but we're not going to talk about that. Vladdy on the Jays. You don't see them saying you can't have braids. You can't have your dreads. Don't tell people they can't do stuff. The sport's going to change. There's no stopping it. Every sport changes. Every sport evolves. So I can't agree with this one-handed thumb in change. Rotating patterns? I'm actually for that. I think every house should have different house patterns and they should change all the time. I think that, but I think that should be voted on by leagues. The houses should have multiple patterns available, and if a league wants to have multiple patterns in it, then I think it should always be available. I think that anything that any league that's considered higher than open recreational but not a sport league should have some kind of revolving pattern. It helps bowlers have a stepping stone from open bowling, slightly better, sport bowling, professional bowling. It just gives them a stepping stone. It makes the gap of entry a lot smaller. Thank God thank God for Crocs. Yes, that oh my goodness. Should lefties be standardized patterns? I think 20 years ago, but league bowlers shot it down. Yeah, I know they had the what was it, the red, white, and blue patterns and the collegiate patterns, and they tried to have the recreation versus sport versus stuff. I think it was not every center has the ability to. They don't have oil machines that can do it properly, so I understand that. But doesn't that also give a little bit of specialness in the sport? So when you go to a bigger tournament, you see different things. So this house does some stuff, and then when I want to go to the next level, I have to travel to this house, and they'll do some stuff. I don't know. That's myself personally. I come from a background. I did a lot of stuff for a game called Magic the Gathering, where we had like Friday Night Magic, which is like the barest entry line. That's like your open league, your fun league. And then you go up a little bit, and then up a little bit, and then regionals, and then Grand Prix, and then professional, so that you have a little bit of a chance to work your way all the way up. It also lent itself to a more robust professional player base, where you could have professional players at the top, and then professional like Grand Prix players who were not quite professionals, good enough to be there. So like our the old Megabucks kind of thing. Yes, MTG. Two-handed is not easy. I've bowled with no thumb, one-handed for over 30 years, and can't do two-handed. It is really hard. Something I've been throwing around, my apologies, is trying to sit down and do a video series and actually learn how to properly two-handed bowl. We did a tips for two-handers a few years ago with Motive staffer Zach Wilkins, but I think it's a good thing that everyone should at least see. You're seeing more and more players try to work it into their bag. Not everyone can do it, though. We have a player locally who's, I'm not going to mention his age, but he is a seasoned bowler who recently made the switch over, our friend Wayne Blakely. He made the switch over to two-handed 2 years ago, and he's averaging 210 or 220. Because he had the one-handed knowledge, it was easier once he could throw it. But I know it's been really hard on his back and his knees, so it's not a young man's style of shot. I mean, you see Walter Ray do it, but he's a freak of nature. Oops, not sure why my message was removed. Haha, excited to start my very first league this summer. Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. Glad to hear you're starting your first league. I think the summer leagues are the perfect way to get in and really learn quickly before you go into a full league. I think summer leagues are really awesome. I would love to see leagues. When I was a general manager for Brunswick Center, we used to have short leagues, like 8-week, 12-week, 16-week leagues, so that we could turn them over really quickly and get people in and out. I would love to see more of those come through, because then you can have leagues going all the time. Summer leagues are always some of my favorite, though. They're just so relaxed. MTG is a fun game. You can also have things like EDH, and then yeah, I play a lot of EDH. I also play a lot of Arena. I started Magic back in beta, Like legitimately, people talk about, I played Magic at the beginning. I had a local card shop owner who went out to Seattle to one of the game conventions and brought home a box of original beta, and that's what we started with. We learned out of the starter decks. So it was really cool. I played for quite a few years. I judged for more than a decade. Traveled the world, actually judging events where they were contested for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was a lot of fun. I love to see my local house support a sports shot league or some sort, but hasn't happened yet. It's Bolero has been getting Get Your Gear League this summer, practice leagues. I love Get Your Gear, also known as Have a Ball leagues. You pay a little bit extra and you can choose, shoes or a bag or a ball or whatever. I think those are amazing for new bowlers. Those also tend to be short leagues. They tend to be 10 to 12, 14 weeks, and you get something really quickly. Bolero used to be Brunswick. That they bought all the Brunswick centers, like the one I worked in. It's really tough to get sports shot leagues started. We tried one in my local house. It is very tough for people to get over their egos. Not in such a way that they think they're better than everybody else, but a lot of people whose shots are born and based out of bowling on a house shot, when they go and throw on a sports shot, it doesn't make them feel good. Sports shots tend to show off your inability to repeat speed or directionality or rotation, and it tends to really dishearten a lot of bowlers. And some people do have egos where they don't want to go and bowl on a sports shot where they might average 190 on it if they're a 230 average house shot bowler, because they think it makes them seem less than what they are, which is a bunch of hooey. You know what? You're bowling against the other people. If everyone's bowling badly, everyone's bowling badly. Bowl. Do you have a favorite ball? Like, if you could only use one ball for the rest of your life, what would it be? I do! Hold on one second. I have a ball. I named him Frank. I'll hold this up here. It's in a little bit of rough condition. This right here. You can see it's been plugged. But this is an old Sapphire Zone from Brunswick. It's not the most winningest ball ever made. It's not the most biggest hyped ball ever made. But it was the first ball I ever bought for myself. It was the first ball I ever had. When I bowled my first big game, when I won my first big tournament, I had a Sapphire Zone. They don't make balls like this anymore. It has the traditional light bulb core in it, but it also had this bismuth graphite nugget in the center, back when they could put other things in the ball, that made it super, super low RG, so it was a very smooth, very easy to control ball. I sold it once, and thankfully, Scoops was able to find me this one, which I was able to fill and drill for myself. And I will never, ever make that mistake again of getting rid of my Sapphire Zone. It's absolutely irreplaceable. I finished mine, I believe it's at 500 plus polish, and I drilled it with a burn ball layout, so slower response. The pin is below the finger. I think it's 65 by 5 by 65, something like that. And it still hooks great. I put out a video on TikTok, you can see, and it still hits like a ton of bricks. Throws pins everywhere. It is absolutely my favorite ball that I've ever owned. Dead Palmers grew up bowling in the house with flat oil machine and hand sprayed. Yeah, that's the way to learn, hand sprayed. What are your thoughts on the UC2, especially for two-handers with lower speed? I'll be honest. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Auto grip, UC2, bowling ball. Okay, let's. There's the UC2. Okay. The UC2 I've heard two things about, and I've seen one thing. The first thing is that the UC2 tends to die really quickly. It needs a lot of surface care, and that is from the pros. They drill a lot of the UC2s. They seem to like the UC2 because it's very, very strong response down lane, but they seem to need a lot of care for the surface. For lower speed bowlers, it is a very fast response ball. I have a friend Brad who is rev dominant, like myself, but he has even lower speed than I do. Probably has a little bit more rev than I do too, actually. He throws this ball when he really has to get it down lane and needs it to snap, because this thing will hook down lane a lot. So, I mean, it's a pretty strong ball. 052, it's a fairly strong differential. 011, it's on the more continuous side of things. So if you give it like a skid snap layout, it's going to be fairly strong through the pocket, similar to what us Brunswick guys see out of something like Black Widow Ghost. This just is a little bit more sensitive for the cover stock. I don't want to talk it down because lots of people love it. There's nothing wrong with the ball. It's just you have to be very diligent on the cover preparation. Keep it very clean, and you'll be fine. If you have lower speed as a two-hander, I would definitely, if you want to control the lane, definitely be looking at urethane. If you're trying to hook the lane, don't forget about things, especially if you've got drier lanes. Don't forget about things like the Hammer Raw Pearl, the Storm High Road, stuff that's a higher RG that's going to it's not going to spin up quite as easily, which means it's going to get down lane a little bit more before it reacts. So it's going to have a little bit more pop down lane, especially when they're dry or they're a little bit spotty. The ball's going to get down lane without reacting too quickly and still have a lot of energy at the break point. First, Super Blitz. First reactive ball I ever owned was an Ebonite Fire. Nice. Wow. Yeah, the first one I ever had was my Sapphire. Then I went and bought myself a Synergy from Track. Then I bought an Outrage from Columbia 300, and then I got my Helix. So I've had some interesting ones over the years. I've always loved my Radical Squatch Pearl and plan to use it until it falls apart. Absolutely. Great ball. Great ball. 100%. I got my first ball the other day, Omni Hybrid. Good choice. Good choice. Really enjoy it so far. Still getting to know it. It's actually a very good ball. Medium differential. It's got some hook to it, but it's not going to be like too strong. That's a really great ball to learn with. So good choice in it. The ball has, I think, the sharpest back end. Yeah, I would agree with that. Zen Master, Pitch Black, and a UC3. Yeah, you need something in between there. I might look at something like a Phase 2. You don't really have a benchmark ball in there, even though you have the Pitch Black. The Pitch Black is a little bit kind of on the lower end of benchmark. If you went to a Phase 2, that would be on the higher end of benchmark. It would give you a little bit of clearance in between. Or you could go with something Pearl because you've got a lot of solids there. I'm trying to think. I think the UC3 would be too much ball in between there, though. I really do. Even if you went with a regular Zen, because it's not going to have as much surface as a Zen Master, I just think it'd be too much. I think the UC2 would be too much ball. First new in box for active is a Piranha C. Scoops has one of those. We actually just got an original Cuda C. And I think we have 2 of them, and we're going to plug them and maybe do a retro review on them. Would a Phase 2 then High Road Pearl work? Yes. If you're a Storm guy, that's going to give you a great arsenal. That's going to cover all the bases for you. Absolutely. So as for the rest of the Brian Voss stuff, I'm really torn on it. Plastic balls. We've seen them do plastic ball tournaments. They put lots of surface on them. They're able to shoot 250. I don't think giving them plastic balls is going to make them that much of a difference. In fact, if anything, I think it's going to give an unfair advantage to those who can create a higher rev rate. One-handed rather than two-handed. 1/8 ounce weights. Static weights, finger thumbs, so on and so forth. If it's plastic, it's not going to make a difference anyway, so. And restricted to 3 balls. Put surface on everything, whatever. I just can't agree with this. I don't think it addresses any of the issues in bowling. I don't think. Giving them plastic is just going to make it easier for the power players to win. You know, you're going to make that much bigger of a difference between the power players and the regular players because they can just hit it harder and get it to throw the pins around more. The static weights aren't going to make a difference at all. Rotating patterns I like. Restricted 3 balls, whatever. Like, honestly, that doesn't... I don't think that's the answer, but we don't really have an answer to what's going to fix bowling right now. Until there's some kind of standardization and testing to make sure everybody's doing the same thing, that's actually enforced. I mean, you don't even see really people going out and checking lanes anymore. It's awful. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting. Since I'm fairly young, 14, my ball speed is about 14 average, so I can get away with getting left. So here's something that you're going to want to think about, though. Okay? The problem with getting left early is you run out of room. You can only go so far left, and then you're on somebody else's lane. Being able to play up the boards more gives you more time to be able to move in. And it'll actually, because you're two-handed, you will be able to create more angle of entry by really being able to stay in it, stay closer to the friction, and you'll be able to score for longer. It's always good to hook the ball. We can all do it. But the name of the game is being able to get the ball to the pocket the same way every time. And if we're too worried about being too far left too early, we're going to be worried about the wrong things. Keep your hand... Okay, here's another thing. People always say keep your hand behind the ball. Keep your rotation behind the ball. So get the ball rolling more forward, end over end this way, rather than spinning sideways. Any tips for ball speed for two-handers? Yes. Work on your legs. I know it sounds funny, but with two-handers, 100% of your ball speed comes from your legs and your transition from your swing. So the more that you can strengthen your legs to push into your final step, the less you're going to be trying to pull with your arms, which means it's going to be easier to control, and you're not going to be reducing speed by holding onto the ball more. Flat with my hand, I still feel like my ball is hard to keep in line. Get some video. Take some video from right behind yourself. So line it up the center of the screen with the center of your bowling arm, and take video of yourself and actually get real close. Zoom in and see where your hand is. The most common... I didn't even set up my camera for this tonight. I'm sorry, guys. One of the most common problems for two-handers is the same as one-handers. Is when you're coming down through the shot, you've got that nice box position. When you try to throw the ball, you see how my shoulder's moving? That motion, that movement, that rotation causes you to turn your hand through the rest of the shot. Same thing one-handers do when they try to pull it from the top of the shot. When you try to push the ball through the shot, you actually end up turning your shoulder. So even though your hand is still straight in accordance with your arm, your whole arm's turned. The most your arms do is control your ball. The most your ball should do is keep it from hitting you. All it's there to do is hold on to it. Nothing above your wrist does anything for ball speed or rev rate. Nothing above your wrist does anything for ball speed or rev rate. Okay, I said it twice so that you hear it. It's just there as a hinge to keep the ball going straight in your swing slot. When you're holding onto the ball, you should have no muscle in your arms, so it just allows the ball to swing. As for legs, there's lots and lots of stuff you can do for legs. I myself, this past year, started a powerlifting program where I do a lot of dynamic and max effort days with split up every 72 hours to build strength and endurance in my legs. I was able to go from an average of 15.6 mile an hour. I can now get the ball up to about 19 mile an hour. So legs. As much legs as you can do, legs. Now, I got two more things I want to do before we get to more questions. The first one is I want to tell a couple of Pro Shop horror stories. These ones are awesome. We haven't had some in the last couple of shows. This is where I talk about things I've either seen or been sent into us. Both of these I saw this week, and these are good ones. The first one happens to have to do with my Sapphire Zone. I got it in, and I was starting to take out the thumb sleeve and the inserts, and well, there was a weird jelly-like substance in the fingers and in the bottom of the thumb slug. I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I get them out, and I'm kind of fiddling with it and poking and prodding and pulling, and it's like gooey and jelly and stringy, and I'm trying to pull it out, and it's coming out in little pieces and strings, and I get it out, and I look at it, and someone has put in the finger inserts and the thumb inserts with a hot glue gun. Yeah, hot glue gun. An hour later, I was able to get it all out of just the fingers. The thumb, I just drilled out around the thumb. Just drilled it all out. No point fighting it with it. For the record, hot glue, not an approved glue for your bowling ball. Yeah, first time I ever seen it too. Hello! It's me, Tetris. Nice to see you. Philith. It's a good motivation. You should always work out your arms. When you're doing a workout, a lot of people think, oh, I'll just work out my arms. Oh, I'll just work out my back. Oh, I'll just work out my legs. You can't spot train. The way I train is I do 1 day upper body, the next day lower body as max effort. Then I take a day off, and then I do upper body, then lower body on separate days for dynamic. So one day I'm doing maximum efforts, so like 1 rep maxes, 3 rep maxes. The other day I'm doing for speed. So box jumps or speed pulls or speed bench presses for explosive power. When you train your body for GPP or general physical performance, you're just going to get a better result in general. I lost 100 pounds. Got into probably the best shape of my life. Even though I've been sick over the last 6 weeks, I still have only put on like 10 pounds back on. And my bowling has gotten significantly better. Significantly. Made it much easier to throw the ball. So what I may have to do is do a show on physical fitness and show you guys what I do. Just so you can have an idea. It's stuff you can do at home or it's stuff you can do when you're at your own personal gym. Let's see, I just started working out. I broke the 200 barrier on Saturday. Congratulations, that's awesome. Question, should I stick with my Galaxy 300 or get a new ball? If you like your Galaxy 300, stay with it. Whatever you want. It's a little easier to make a suggestion to people for equipment when you know a little bit more about them. If you know like your ball speed, rotation, things like that. But you know what? If you like your Galaxy 300, go with it. Congratulations on breaking your 200. That's a really awesome, an awesome thing. I'm just doing a bit for every muscle. That's a good idea. A lot of people forget when you are working out, they just jump in whole hog and try to do the most they can the very first time. Myself personally, when I got into my powerlifting program, I'd been doing some Diamond Dallas Page DDP yoga, DDPY. I'd been doing it for probably about 12 weeks, just working on my flexibility. Flexibility is another really, really good thing for bowling. The more flexible you are, not only the lower you can get and the more leverage you can create, but the easier it is to not get injured. Yeah, absolutely, it would make a great spare ball. So yeah, the second horror story. This one's great, and this one's my fault, 100% my fault. Well, kind of 100% my. Nah. Well, okay. Gentleman comes to me. He's got a switch grip, and the switch grip has gotten loose in his thumb. Sometimes, if a ball gets impacted right on the switch grip, or if the hole was drilled improperly, it can warp a little bit. Happens with a fair few different kinds of switch grip or interchangeable thumb units. But anyway, he said, it's loose, it's kind of moving around. So I said, what you can do to snug it up is you take a small piece of electrical tape, very small piece of electrical tape, and you start by putting it at the very bottom of your switch grip. So let me see here. I'm just going to grab a switch grip real quick so I can show you. Talk amongst yourselves. Don't make fun of me. Okay. So you get yourself a switch grip like this, and you can put a very small piece of black tape right at the bottom. And then you put it into the hole without forcing it, and you try to put it in. And if it goes in and still chatters it around, you move the tape a little bit farther up. And you try it again a little bit farther up until it's snug, but you can still turn it in the ball. Unfortunately, I think there was something that was lost in translation, as the gentleman used thumb tape, the thick fabric thumb tape, which is about 10 times as thick as the plastic tape, or the electrical tape. So when he stuffed it in and hammered it, it got stuck. So this is what's left of his switch grip. Literally had to drill the switch grip out to try to save it. To try to save the ball. I take responsibility for it because I told him to put tape on there. But yeah, it is a trick that you can do, especially during tournaments, if you break a tab on a thumb. But you can't hammer it in, otherwise it's going to get stuck. Luckily, it's an easy fix because it's just a 1 3/8 bit. You just line it up. If you've done your switch grip and you have all your pitches, it's a really easy drill out once you get it all lined up. But man, is it a pain in the butt, especially when you have to drill through the fabric. What's going on down here? Started. My dad's helping me. He's 61. Active firefighter. Thank you for your service. That's awesome. Horror story happened to me this weekend. PSO drilled my ball for the wrong hand. Oh no. Oh, I had that done with a combat zone. Was drilled basically left-handed for me. I have no idea what you put. I've got an auto thing on there, so it probably just censored your thing. It's me, Tetris. But yeah, that I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully they fixed it for you. So before we go to all of our questions online for last week, I made you guys a promise on the last episode. Since people didn't pick up their prize, I guess I gotta give it away again. And for those of you who don't remember, we have an autographed Parker Bohn III poster to give away. So what I've done here is I have put everybody's name onto our list here, all of our subscribers. We're gonna shuffle them and shuffle them and shuffle them. All right, you guys ready for a spin? Let's find out who wins. Round and round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. Legendarius BC. Legendarius BC, congratulations. Yeah, the mod is super aggressive. So Legendarius BC, you have won the Parker Bohn III autographed poster. So we used whatever people's subscription name was. So if you want to contact me, you can email me at lanesidereviews@live.com, and then I can verify your information with Twitch, and then we'll get this sent out to you. Not too bad, right? That is pretty awesome. Storm replacement hustle, didn't need it, so I picked up a fast pitch to replace it. I wouldn't have got rid of that hustle. Not a storm guy, but the hustle, like the hustle camo and the PBR, I have heard very good things about those. Very good things. So, time to go to the mailbag. It's Dad's friend who bowled and met EJ. Oh, nice. That's awesome. Congratulations. Before I was two-handed, I washed my hands, went to throw a ball, and my finger slipped out. Yep, I've seen that happen before. We had a two-hander who got his fingers caught in the ball, so he went to let go of it, and his hand went out, and the ball was still on it, and he pulled his hand back to get it off. Kind of the opposite of what happened to you there. So let's go to... Let's check out what interesting comments we had from the last week, and then we'll wrap things up. Let's see here. Comments. James, appreciating the speed reference. Yes, thank you. I'm glad somebody got that. Wasn't there 2 in there? I think there was another one too. Love the video. Haven't wondered about those left-handers. Yeah, I know. Gary Coleman still sticking with his Dick Weber 5-star. Whatever works for your brother or sister. Lots of best wishes for me while I was sick. I very much appreciate that, guys and girls, athletes. Very much appreciate it that you guys, you all took the time to say something nice. Do you think that we have to worry about more Storm products getting banned? I don't think so. Corbin asked that if I think more products are going to get banned. I think USBC is probably not going to ban anything for the rest of the year. Maybe out of being scared. I don't think that they could afford to really tick off another manufacturer. Without the manufacturer supporting them, that's a lot of money that they would lose for tours and stuff. So, get well, get better, prayers, hang in there. Thank you. I was sick. I don't know. I dodged COVID for 2 years, took off my mask, and got the norovirus, that stomach virus it's going through. Let me tell you, if I can teach anybody anything, wash your hands. Good Lord. I lost 20 pounds in a week. You get dehydrated in a hurry. Butch, thanks again for another great video talking about the 3 offset video. You guys are my favorite reviewers, and I appreciate all the time and effort that we put into our reviews. Well, thank you. I appreciate you watching it very much. We put a lot of work into these. Well, we all put a lot of work into these. There's lots of hours, so I really appreciate it when people notice. Cowboy65 talking about our conspiracy. In every review I've seen on this ball, it looks like the surface didn't match up to the ball Boulder Lane. We said that too. We think that the cover preparation on it is a little too specific, I think. All of us seem to like it better once we could change the surface on it, once we threw it out of the box. I see no problem with it taking it to like 1,000 or 2,000. It really responds a lot. So we just didn't like 500 plus compound or 500 plus polish. Just didn't look good. How about we buy up all the urethane and have an auction and invite Scoops? That's funny, Joshua. At some point, we are going to have to do a tour of Scoops and his many urethane balls. He literally just broke the Grizz back out. After the April Fool's joke that Brunswick put up about the new Grizz, he actually broke his out because we had a few of them and has been bowling with it. So yeah, all the urethane. My 2 cents. Super Blitz. Hey, Super Blitz, I'm reading your comment. A chemical reaction between the polish and the cover stock. Unlikely intentional. 100% agree. I think we're seeing something. I thought it was actually really interesting when they came out and talked about how the surface preparation actually made a huge impact on how the ball read. So that maybe they should be investigating the polishes and the cleaners and stuff like that too. Because I don't think it would be that hard for somebody as brilliant as, say, like Ron Hicklin to come up with something that kept the hardness above 73 but still created a bigger footprint, or had new spaghettis coming out of it to create more friction or something, or a new polymer that went in that created more friction and kept the hardness. Like, the dude is a genius. So I don't put it past him to come up with something that's ridiculous. 100 units in a mill. Thank you, Alex. Yes. There's actually a really cool picture online of how much oil you get per lane. And it's in a little graduated beaker that's about this tall, and there's like that much oil in it. You don't get a lot of oil. Tyler, hey Rob, fan for years, always liked your content. Question, I've been out of bowling for a little over 2 years, took some time off to finish my graduate degree. Starting to get the itch again, all my equipment cracked. Sorry to hear that. He lost a breeze, a timeless, and a spare ball. Like to stick to Storm Roto. Good benchmark. Any tips getting your timing back? Yeah, absolutely. First of all, go with what got you there. If you like a tropical breeze, get yourself one of the new ones. If you liked the timeless, go with a trend. Oh no, not a trend 2. Never mind. I was gonna say trend 2 would be really good. That would make sense. Maybe a Zen. The phase 2 is gonna be your go-to, your benchmark ball. Oof. As for timing, when I'm off the lanes for a lot of time, I start off. I do drills. I start at the foul line, do a 0-step, 1-step, then I'll do a 5-step drill. I don't do a lot of 3-step drills. I need to do more of those. And I just try to. When you throw the ball good, you have that feeling. So what I try to do is I start from the very beginning and I work myself back to try to find that feeling again. Just the biggest things I would watch out for, don't muscle the ball. Let the ball do the work. The more you let the ball do the work, the more that your swing timing from the top of your swing through your swing is going to be the same. It's going to be a lot easier for you to make those adjustments back into your timing. So hopefully that helps. A lot of people talking about the storm stuff. Lefty two-hander, but all I have is an Omni Hybrid. Any ball recommendations? Yeah. High Road, Raw Pearl, 3D Offset, lots of urethane. Any of those will look good in your hands. Sometimes I find the Omnis a tad too much hook. Urethane's going to be your friend as a two-hander. And don't be afraid to throw plastic. Something like a Spy from Radical. Packy Hanrahan's got one. They do hook. Some guy left his ball on the rack next. I took a house ball he used for spares. Whoops. USBC stated that after removing the polish, the ball is tested harder. Yeah, see, and that's what I'm talking about. I'd be interested to see them test the polishes and the cleaners to see what they're doing. That's a really weird situation because it's basically saying that the polish, because the polish is softer, that's what's making the ball softer. But if you're taking the polish off and the ball's still hard, it's just the polish that's soft, not the ball. Is a Galaxy 300 USBC legal? Absolutely it is. It is indeed. You're a weird two-hander? Awesome. I'm glad. Nobody is weird. We're all unique. Some people are more unique than others. Who makes the Galaxy 300? I think that was one of those off-brands. Columbia 300 used to make a whole bunch of those. Like they made the Bonanza 300. I believe they made the Galaxy as well. Which I believe, depending on which one it is, I believe it's an old urethane. Let me see if I can find it here. Let's see if we can find out some information about it. First, what color is your Galaxy 300? Can you tell me that? If the lanes are really dry, I like throwing up. Yeah, absolutely, with a T-zone, absolutely. Dry lanes, urethane is not for dry lanes. Urethane is for keeping the ball from hooking too much, even on oily lanes. It shows Ebonite and Brunswick. Interesting. Interesting. Because there's also... Yeah, it looks like the Galaxy came out for a few years. Yeah, there's an Ebonite one. There's a Brunswick one. There might actually be a Columbia 300 one too. Good heavens. I think everybody made a Galaxy. That's weird. That is really weird. Yellowish gold, yeah, those were off-brand, shared by... Yeah, like I had a Bonanza 300 that had a 6-inch pin to CG on it, on a blue urethane ball. Ended up having like 3 ounces of top weight, so that thing was amazing. Hey, thank you. I am feeling better, much better. Thank you very much. So there wasn't anything super interesting on the questions out there. Do you have anything else? When the Pitch Black was the only ball I had when I used it during the open bowling, it hit like a wet napkin. Yeah, urethane and dry lanes, it'll burn up real fast and it won't hit very well. I grew up throwing my Brunswick Strike King. Nice. The red Strike King was the best one, in my opinion. Probably because it's the only one I threw, and it was the one that had the like, I think somebody threw a 900 with it or something. But I always found like the red hooked a little bit more. And we know that certain colors and certain additives do change the characteristics of the motion of a ball. So who knows? Green Strike King. Nice. Oh, you know what I'd love to see? I want to see them bring back the vintage line again, and I want to see some more of the wacky old titles. Like, bring back the Attitudes. I don't have one of those. It was great. I've been making my younger sibling throw it. Nice. Nice. It's always good when people share equipment. Nice. You'll know if you look on the top of it, it'll have either a big E on it or a big B on it, or in the where the dot is, it'll say Columbia 300. One of those 3. So I really like really like the red one. I didn't get to throw any of the other ones. The red Strike King. It just goes to show, just because a ball is quote-unquote entry line doesn't mean it's not a good ball. It just means it is some of the older technology that's already been paid for over the last couple of years, and they're rolling it out to their regular line. So just like if you look at it like the what is it? The Rhinos that are currently out there have basically the power coil cover stock from years ago on them. After I got my Phase 2 in High Road Pearl, I want a ball above my Zen Master. Not the Reality, it got banned. But the Proton Physics, my national players seem to really like the Proton Physics. Just the whole physics line, they seem to really like those. So I don't see anything wrong with that at all. If you want something really angular, the UC2, we talked about that earlier from Storm. That's really strong hooking. I myself personally like the Ghost, the Hammer Black Widow Ghost. It's a very symmetrical. Oh, was the alternate Reality was banned? Okay, sorry. Then yeah, the Reality would be good. So we're just all over the place tonight. This is great. Lots of people talking, lots of people having fun here. That's all I had for this week. I'm just having fun talking with all of you. It is really nice to be back and not throwing up or anything else all over the place. I never... It's not the sickest I've ever been, but I definitely would not want to be that sick ever again. Wouldn't wish it on anybody. That's just the way I am. So hopefully we're going to have, I believe, a stream on Friday this week. Like I said, I've got classes on Tuesday and Thursday this week. Becoming an even better coach. You never stop learning. I was recently talking to somebody about coaching, and I said, I myself have been lucky. I've worked with some great players. I've had experience and success on every level, from local to international. But it's just taught me that I'm by no means an expert. I have so much more to learn. So I missed most of it, but I'll catch the Twitch VOD. Awesome. If you're not a Storm guy, then what kind of guy are you? I'm a Brunswick guy. That's what I throw. I'm on staff with Brunswick. I've always been very open and honest about it. I've been very lucky that Brunswick affords me the ability to look at other equipment, talk about other equipment, and be very open and honest about it because of the show. But when it comes to stuff that I throw, I have, even before I was on Brunswick staff, I've thrown Brunswick since I was 14. I've had chances to throw other stuff. Like I said, I bought an Outrage from Columbia 300 before they were with Brunswick. I tried my Synergy. I even threw an 800 with an IQ Fusion from Storm. But I find that for my game, Brunswick has always matched up really well. So that's what I prefer. Now, if you're not on staff, I've always told people this: make the most of every brand. Every brand has its own characteristics. Storm tends to have balls that are cleaner and more responsive down lane. Brunswick tends to have stuff that is earlier and smoother. So if you're putting together an arsenal, you might have, if you're not signed to anybody, you might have a Storm ball in, say, your ball up position or your late hook position, but you may have Brunswick family stuff in your benchmark ball and your urethanes. Now, there are some brands that go outside that, like Radical. Radical, I find, is kind of a cross between Storm and Brunswick. Even though they're kind of part of the Brunswick family, the Radical stuff has a much more motion down lane. It's a much more skid flippy in a lot of their stuff. So for me, I don't need other brands. What is a drill or way to practice to get better at hitting your mark? Okay, so that's a loaded question, because what it sounds like is happening is that you might be having problems hitting your mark because of your swing slot and your swing path, and that is the path at which your arm is coming through the shot. Okay? If we get behind our back too much or away from us, the ball is going to be hard to control. What a lot of people do, we talked about this earlier, when you try to throw it hard, you see how my shoulder turns and my elbow comes out? That will cause you to throw around your mark. By letting the ball just fall, and this is something that you can practice for a drill. I'm going to move my chair here. I really should have put up my other camera. I should have known. One thing that you can actually practice is grab your ball that you're going to bowl with and practice just swinging it. Don't try to get it really high. Just practice swinging it without using your arms to pull through it. Because when you're bowling two-handed anyway, you don't want to pull. You don't want to be pulling with your arm and your shoulder. Let it drop through. You also don't need a big backswing up here. You don't need a huge backswing. Your legs are creating all of your ball speed. So when you're swinging it like that, you can then move on. If you're in your backyard, if you have a piece of grass, a park or something, you can work on going back a little bit, let it come forward, and letting it roll off your hand. And just take it up forward a little bit, let it drop back and forward, so that you're not rotating this way. As a one-hander, we do the same thing with our push away. We push it away, let it drop back, go all the way through, and then come back all the way forward again. Same thing with a two-hander. Forward, let it drop through. And just keep practicing that. Let it roll off your hand and roll off your hand. The more you do that, the more your muscles are going to get used to it. The more it's going to become a very easy action. And that repetition, by doing it outside or somewhere other than the bowling lanes, is going to allow you to practice more and more and more without waiting for the ball to come back. So you can actually, build your strength and your skill at the same time, but do it faster. Well, now I feel stupid. Now that I look, I see some store products. Yeah, there's a phase 2 up here, right over here. Yeah, you know, it's tough because a lot of people think, this is actually something I learned on tour. A lot of people think when you're a staffer, you're supposed to talk down about other people's equipment. You're supposed to be, oh, no, their stuff's terrible, blah, blah, blah. When I went out on tour, all the pros talk to each other. All the coaches help each players. You see a Brunswick coach. I've seen Chuck talk to a Storm guy and give him some advice when he was out on tour. It's friendly. Equipment, we're really tribalized for equipment. I'm a Storm guy. I'm a Brunswick guy. I'm a bowling guy. I throw the best ball that I have access to. I don't care who makes it. I've thrown 30-year-old equipment for high scores. I've thrown stuff right out of the box for high scores. I throw the best stuff that's available, and every bowler should. If you're signed to a brand, you have a little bit more limited pool of what you can draw from, but you still want to throw the best thing you can throw. Yeah, that's it. Let's see here. Yeah, it's a pro shop. I'm going bowling tomorrow. I'll have someone record me. Awesome, yeah. And if you want, go to our Facebook. You can post stuff up if you've got permission. I know you're 14, so get permission from your parents. If you want to post stuff up, we can always take a look at it and let you know what's going on. We always love to help. It's why we're here. Get Your Gear League, I mentioned earlier, has 9 balls, and pick 2 from... We had one of those, I think the second year I was with Brunswick Zone. Tell you how old I am. You had your choice of a original Inferno, or I think the Raging Inferno with ours. We only had a choice of like 2 balls, 2 pairs of shoes, stuff like that. Actually, I think it's a green screen now. It might be. It might just be a green screen. Fatal Venom, Pride, Medusa, Polaris, Quantum Evo. Yeah, that's a good mix. Lots of symmetricals and asymmetricals. Lots of different shapes. Nice arsenal there, Super Blitz. Best Brunswick house shot. Everybody has their own. Everybody kind of programs their own. In our old videos, if you look at our old videos from a couple of years ago, we used to use a house shot specifically designed by Mo Pinnell, which is supposed to be a quote-unquote easy house shot, but everyone complained that it was either too easy or not easy enough. So, I think probably the best house shot I've ever bowled on is mine. I don't know. I'm here in California bowling, and that's all I hear. How terrible their stuff is. We reviewed California bowling stuff when they were doing it as Lane Master and Lordfield. I haven't heard anything bad about it. We reviewed some of the stuff. Scoops and Old Guy Wayne had some of their stuff in their bag for quite a while. It's just a different company. I've actually, if you look at some of their shapes, they're common shapes that we saw a few years ago. So I don't think they're bad. I just think they're different. I'm not a fan of their distribution where they don't really sell to pro shops. You have to be a staffer and then they sell directly that way. But each company their own. Original Inferno was the best, absolutely. It's on my top 10 all-time balls. Not my arsenal, just the list of balls from Get Your... Oh, that's the list of balls from the program? Wow! That's an amazing list for the Get Your Gear. Holy crap. Those are some high-end balls. Nice, that's a good program. Even with my high rev rate, is it feasible to play up the track? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Look at Jesper Svensson. Look at Kyle Troop. Both guys who have high rev rates who play up the track. It's all about directionality at your release, how you're able to get out of it. It's very common for two-handers because two-handers try to throw the ball with their arms. Like I said, the wrist comes around, so we get a lot of side rotation. So the ball becomes very, very sensitive to over-under. As soon as it sees friction, it'll jump on you. And it's something it's actually very fixable. It's a very common problem, and once you get it figured out how to fix it, you become a very dangerous bowler. And I say that for one-handers or two-handers. Anyone who can learn to manipulate their roll to be able to forward roll it or side roll it basically is just that much better than every other bowler. They have more tools. So this has been really fun. I have very much enjoyed this. Thank you all for being back. I'm going to give a last call for questions while I remind everybody, if you want to get in with us here on these, our usual days are Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. But we always let everyone know about our upcoming Twitch shows on our Twitch channel and on our Facebook and on YouTube. All you have to do is subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, because once we get to 40% subscribed, we're giving away a ton of stuff. I think we've got like 20 jerseys and some other crazy stuff we're giving away. So get to subscribing. Remember that we always replay these the next day on YouTube. So if you miss them here, you can't get to us on Twitch. You can always join us there. Put your questions up, because as you can see, we will answer them here. And don't forget to go on Reddit, where we have our pages where you can post things, post questions, all sorts of good stuff. Philith, I usually side roll with high axis tilt, but I can go up the back if I have to. That's perfect, yeah. The more... I've said this a few times, anyone can hook the lane. Anybody can hook 40 boards. Throw it from the 1 board to the 40 board and back again. Anybody can do it. That's not what the game is, though. The game is knocking down pins. And the way we do that is by controlling the ball and making sure the ball not only goes through the pins the same way, or as close to the same way every time, but in a manner that is the most conducive to allow us to score. So either striking or leaving us stuff that's not going to be hard to spare. The more you get side roll on the ball, the more action you get side to side, but it also becomes more difficult to control. When you play the lane, what we call front to back, so looking at where the ball hooks down the lane, not how much it hooks, it becomes a lot easier for you to, and this is very advanced. I don't want you to get too overwhelmed, but the more that you can be able to keep the ball in front of you and keep the ball in a scoreable way where you don't have to worry too much about splits, the better you're going to do. I just got on your Twitch from your YouTube. Oh, awesome. Great. Bonus always going to be your benchmark ball for these videos? I think so. I really wanted the Intel to be in there forever, but they're very hard to find. The bonus, when we tested it, the bonus was within a few inches distance-wise hooking, but the exact same amount of hook and almost identical shape as the IQ Tour Solid. So we felt like that each major manufacturer had a ball that was very similar to the bonus, so it would be the best one to base everything off of. When I was helping Ron Hickland and the CTD guys get their reviews up, originally all their stuff was going to be based on the IQ Tour. So it's a similar thing. You got to have something. You have to choose something that you can base it off of. And since the motion is kind of universal across all the brands, it was the good pick for us. Till they find a better benchmark ball than the bonus, since the bonus has been discontinued. Yeah, it makes me upset that it's been discontinued. I'll be honest, I like the bonus better than the payback. The payback, because it's a pearl, has a little bit more versatility potential to it. But I really like the smoothness of the bonus. I don't need to get the ball to... I don't need the versatility out of it because I have other pieces that I can use for it. I like the pitch black because it's so smooth. Yep. It's weird that sometimes my UC3 feels sharper. And that'll happen based on the amount of oil on the lane. A ball that has too much friction will actually hook less than a ball with less friction. So the Zen Master has a lot of surface on it, so sometimes it can use all of its energy in the front of the lane before you'd see it from your UC3. So yeah, that's awesome. I love all these questions. Please keep them coming. You can post them to our, like I said, our YouTube. Send them to our Facebook. Put them on our Reddit. Keep them coming. I love these. The more questions you ask, the more it gives me an idea of what you want to find out from these shows. We don't have a real good idea of what we're going to do on next week's show, or on Friday's show. We're waiting for the new stuff to come in, the 3 new balls from the Brunswick brands. We're waiting on more information about the new releases coming from Storm, like the Zen Soul, just so we can tell you guys more stuff about it when we get the official release. So send in your information, and maybe we can find out some interesting... We can do a show just of questions. Payback core reminds me of the old Cyclops. Yeah, I could see that. A Cyclops core is a little bit bigger. But yeah, absolutely. So all right, guys, girls, athletes, and all. We've been on for, wow, an hour and 44 minutes. That's amazing. So like I said, we're going to be back here, looks like on Friday. Keep those questions coming, send them in, and we're going to have some fun. But until next time, guys, remember to follow us on Facebook, all the socials, so on and so forth. Remember to keep your ball on the lane, knock down pins, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a show. So until next time, guys, we'll see you laneside.